We have. Now things get confusing because there are not 5, there are 6. Now we're going to try and work out who's who in the zoo. I think the one right at the back underneath that little bush, that looks a bit smaller. No, the one with the head up, I think that looks like a female. There, that one. I'm not sure. That looks to be a bit smaller than the others. I'm not 100% sure. The only one I can see, and also with half of them being quite flat, it's very difficult to say who's who in this zoo. But we're definitely going to wait it out here to see what happens, especially as it gets cooler in the afternoon, to find out what happens. Now, outside of a female and cubs, I think this is the most cheetah I've seen in one spot, 6 cheetah. And it brings our cheetah tally for today to 8. Isn't that incredible? 8 just this afternoon we have seen 8 different cheetah. See, that looks like a female right at the back. Oh, and oh yes, Megan just reminded me, also saw a lonely lioness lying on top of the termite mound. There we go. I think she's gonna. Is it another male? Is it a female? It's difficult to say. Is that one of the musketeers? Is it not? You guys, please help me if you've got ID shots. But I think that one looks to be not one of the musketeers to me. Also looks a little bit more alert, like might possibly want to get away. But the behavior now is definitely looks at. Is that a female? I think it could be a female. They're trying to. Is it a female? Just look under the tail. It is. It is a female. Look at her trying to sneak away, trying to get away from the boys, and immediately. There we go. They're up. Just come wide. Wide. Quickly wide in case there's action. There we go. Stop there. There we go. Yeah, that calling. Oh. Look at the 3 of them going to smell where she was lying. So she's either... Oh, listen to the noises she's making. About to come into estrus. Or she's just very unlucky to encounter 4 boys who are slightly excitable. 5, boys who are slightly excitable. You see how she tried to slink off there at the moment she moved. So can anyone ID which female this is? Tom is wondering, could this be a way to find out who the dominant male is? Yes, Tom, it could be. It's going to be quite interesting to see what happens. Now, we've seen them interact with another male, but this is the first time I think we've seen them interact with a female. Now, most cheetah mating actually happens in the dark during nighttime, and unlike the other big cats, oh, she's complaining. Unlike the other big cats, the mating is not nearly as frequent, only 5 to 10 times in a 24-hour period, as opposed to lions and leopards that mate every 15 or 20 minutes. Wendy would like to know, would the males hurt her? It's unlikely, Wendy, but if they do get a bit excited, they might batter about the ears a little bit, but it is unlikely that they would hurt her. Cindy says 6. Oh my goodness, this coalition never fails to surprise or entertain. That they don't. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens as it gets cooler. So it is quite difficult to get an ID on her while she's got her head down in the grass. Hopefully she stands up again. We can get a better sort of broad side of her. Shame. She looks quite young. Going for it. They think they've got a chance. Okay, let's go live with action, please. Stick on the front cheetah. Welcome everyone live to the Masai Mara in Kenya. We've got 5 male cheetah chasing warthog at the moment. The warthog have disappeared into a little river system, but the boys are still on their way. Now, we're going to have to probably move shortly. That warthog were just ahead of where that lead cheetah is now. We are following 5 males. This is 100% live, coming to you from Kenya in the Masai Mara. Okay, the warthog disappeared in there. Okay, let's get a bit closer. So while we get a bit closer, my name is Brent Leo Smith. I have my friend Adrian on camera, and let's see if these cheetah have any success. Hold on. It looks like they might have been unlucky and the warthogs managed to get down their hole, but we're only going to be able to find out when we're a bit closer. So the warthog's disappeared just in front of us here. This male cheetah is very hungry. He hasn't given up just yet. You can see how he's jogging on the edge of the little river system where those thickets are, trying to spook the warthogs out. There were some baby warthogs with him, and I think that is what he was after. This is a very exciting, remember, 100% live. Well, hello Yasmin, who's watching all the way from Pakistan. And Yasmin, can you believe that a couple of 100 years ago there used to be cheetah in Pakistan? Okay, they're going to go in now. They're splitting. Some of them are going right down into the river system. The others are staying out on top. Okay. Let's see what's going to happen. Here come the next 3. Now, this is the largest ever recorded coalition of male cheetah in the world. 5 of them. Now, cheetah males live in coalitions. Okay, let's get a bit closer to see where they go. Now, cheetah males live in coalitions normally. You do find single males, but if there's more of you, you have a better chance of maintaining a great area like this and having lots of girlfriends. Now, they might give us the slip here. They caught the baby pig just behind the bush. Oh my goodness. Now, this is not for sensitive viewers. That screaming can be very, very disturbing. Now, sometimes female water cheetah. Well, there we go. That's the joy of... Sorry, we are having intermittent black screens. We are in live from the African bush. The 5 male cheetah have just caught a baby warthog, and you never know what's going to happen. Now, please be warned, this could get a little bit gruesome and not for sensitive viewers. Nathaniel says, amazing. Indeed it is. That's what's so wonderful about following these 5 boys. You never know what's going to happen next. You can see the one cheetah has still got the piglet by the throat, making sure it's dead, while the others are already tucking into their meal. Wasn't that exciting? You never know what's going to happen next out here in the African bush. Okay, as I was saying a little bit earlier, you never know what's going to be enough to feed. So we could go live at any time. Remember, you can join us for a more sedate safari on YouTube. Just type in Safari Live and you will find us taking you on a live African adventure there. From myself and Adrian, goodbye.
It looked like a lizard or a skink kill, and now it seems as if he's sniffing around trying to figure out if there's anything left for him to eat. Now, unfortunately, we just got the tail end of it and we're unable to put it on camera for you, but it looks as if he's managing to find tiny little bits there. He was finishing it off just there where he's smelling and now having a rest and licking his chops from his lovely little meal. Now remember, slender mongoose will eat snakes. They're very good at killing and eating snakes. They'll also eat termites and large beetles, and of course now, as we've sort of shown you, the lizards as well. Now, he might stick around long enough to groom and clean himself. Most species, or most organisms, I should say, after a meal will do a bit of cleaning, especially if the meal was a larger one, just to make sure everything's still in place. We see it often with birds, we see it with lion and leopard, but it's also true of our smaller mammals as well. There he's cleaning his paws off, making sure to get all the gunk. And it's interesting, he's not too far from us, so I think he's just checking to see what we're up to as well every now and then, just to make sure we don't invade his space bubble. I'm so sorry, I'm tripping over my words today, everybody. I'll drink some more water just now, that will help. As we're driving around, the breeze is even better, but as we sit still, the heat is pretty intense, I'm not gonna lie. Dries your mouth out. Also, this is a good sighting because we don't usually get to see slender mongoose often. Catherine, you're saying how cute the slender mongoose is. Yes, mongoose are cute, definitely cute little species. So there's been a raging debate between myself and a few friends about what are we actually supposed to call a mongoose. Is it mongoose, mongooses, mongai? And then we were chatting with a biologist friend of ours, and he was saying it's just mongoose. But I do catch myself from time to time saying mongoose. It would make sense because you go from goose to geese, but it's just mongoose. All right, to be around the dam, and just on the right-hand side of your screen as well, there's a spoonbill, that white bird with a spatula-type bill. And then it looks like some white-faced whistling ducks and maybe an ibis that's over there on the side. It's quite far away from where we are. It's on the strip of Chitwa Main Lodge there. Just checking the rocks that side. Willow, who's 3 years old. Hello, Willow. You're curious to know if hippos talk to each other, and I'm not quite sure if you heard all that grunting that just happened now. Willow, they do indeed talk to each other. Most organisms communicate with each other in some manner. Hippos outside the water make that funny laughing grunt sound that we just heard a little bit of now, and then they also communicate underneath the water. They're related to whales. Hippos are related to whales. They're in the same order. So all of the organisms that we work with, so whether we're human or we're a bird or we're a plant or we're a hippo, we all have these different sequences that we fit into. And so hippos and whales are cousins of each other. And I'm not sure if you've ever heard whale song under the water. I'm going to do my best to imitate, but it's a sort of singing noise. And hippos will do that underwater in a similar fashion. There they laugh. A little bit.
We're going to start running out of time because it gets so dark so quickly. We were, of course, talking about that. Hello, little one. You seem to be very excited. Nudging up to that female. That one's just come out of the den. Now, it looks like, yes, I don't think that's your mum. There is a young cub that is suckling at the moment, just hiding in the grass, that is slightly older than the little one that's being a bit cheeky. Remember how I've said there's clearly one young hyena cub that's still quite black in color, that's probably between 5 and 7 weeks old, somewhere around there, that it walks around like it owns the place, and I can only imagine it must be one of the higher ranking females cubs. But there's not many adults around, so you better be careful when mom's not home to be quite cheeky towards the other adults. But the rest of them are undercover at the moment. They're hiding away from the wind that's here, and I suppose it would be quite nice and cozy down in that burrow. We did also see 2 other hyena closer towards the road. They actually look like males to me. They could have also just been very young females, but not too close to the den. So they do scatter themselves out, like we said, and it is hard to spot them. So mom could be around here somewhere. Also, a herd of elephants, I think, moved through. We can still see the elephants, but I think we would have missed the interaction maybe about 15-20 minutes. Unfortunately, you can see them just off into the distance. I think they would have come straight through this den. That would have also sent the hyenas running, and I'm sure the youngsters would be very nervous of encountering these large giants, and maybe actually got a bit of a fright and sent them down into that burrow. So it's not particularly active at the moment. Now, 15 seconds, you said you find hyenas very interesting. I do too. And that's why we spend so much time at the den sites when we can. Unfortunately, they're not always active when we want them to be, like right now. At least it's a little bit of a sight of a hyena, just to get your fix, of course. But they are really fascinating creatures. And I like to spend a bit of time with them because I think there's a whole lot that I don't know about hyenas that goes on behind the scenes. So I always look forward, and I sit pretty much with my notebook in hand and my pen, waiting and watching the various behaviors that I see. And hopefully I'll start to get to know the individuals of the North Clan, and then go from there. But for now, they're very relaxed, just suckling away, filling up that belly before the adults have to search for some food again. It all starts again. Of course, it's a big routine. Come back, feed the cubs, go off, look for some dinner, come back to the den. Sometimes they don't come back to the den for a day or two. But we'll sit here for no, never mind. What I have spotted that looks like it's a little bit more interesting is just to the right of that hyena, up on the shrub, is a white-browed cuckoo. We've been seeing lots of them at the moment. Hello. We've been seeing lots of juveniles too, which has been quite fascinating. And then we saw that the other morning, and I'd said to you how I'd never seen juvenile white-browed cuckoos before. Not alarming at the hyenas. I would imagine that this one lives within the vicinity and sees them often. Now, a bird would not necessarily be on a hyena's menu, and even though they are very, very good hunters, we don't typically see them going after the avian species. However, to a young leopard or a lion cub, of course, it would be quite entertaining. I can't say that I've ever seen young hyenas sort of chasing around birds like we see with leopards and lions, for example, or no, I've never seen that before. I don't think that there's any need for them to be chasing after those characters. Just here, listening to the elephants feed now as well. A few little testiculars and things shouting. I'm not sure what they're shouting about. Youngsters perhaps chasing after birds. Not pouncing in there like a young cat would, but just investigating, just having a little smell. And I'm sure if a bird got too close, maybe they would snap at it and try and catch it. But I don't feel like they would go chasing after it. There's so many other, obviously, hyena cubs that they can play with one another. They can keep themselves entertained. And I suppose that's what's quite nice about living in a family, whether it's a clan or a pride. Whereas the adults don't have that much of a responsibility to keep their youngsters entertained. They can kind of rely on the other youngsters in the group to entertain one another. We see that with lions as well. Whereas leopards, it's a little bit different. Mom has got a huge responsibility. And even with cheetah, you know, if it's just mom and one cub, she's got to play with them. She's got to keep them entertained all the time. Hello, Fluffy. Oh, there's a few more starting to pop out. Oh, they're so sweet. I love them when they're that age. I miss Tima so much. That was a very sweet little hyena. There we go. Being quite affectionate to one another, just sort of smelling and licking. Where's that bossy cub that was out here a moment ago? I'm sure it'll come through and stir a bit of trouble, like it always seems to do. It's like the floppy-eared cub of the hyena clan. Right, we'll stay here for a little bit longer because it seems as though the cubs are starting to emerge from the den. Will they come up to the car? I'm not sure. However, Brent is still keeping a watchful eye on the cheetah.
Indeed we do. We came across not one, not two, but many elephants, and they stretched out all the way from Treehouse Dam, going sort of in a westerly direction, and north, south, everywhere we look there was Ellies around. And so we've caught up with the majority of the herd, except that they are now disappearing into the thickets. Of course they would. They were all out on the road a few seconds ago, and then when it's time for them to put on a show, well, they've decided, no, it's time for some shade and a bit of feeding. But you can see little trunks sticking through, and they are ever so tentatively feeding off one of these weeping wattles that still has a few flowers on it, so they're trying to find some of those yellow flowers to feed on. Now what I might do is just quickly reposition ourselves so we get a slightly better view, because most of our Ellies are quite hidden, so I just want to try and kind of go around them a little bit. If Rusty would decide to go into reverse, because Rusty doesn't feel like going into reverse sometimes, and so you have to kind of be a bit rough with Rusty and get Rusty to actually do what you ask it to do, but that's okay. We are good friends by now. We've made up after Rusty ejected me from the vehicle and I took it through some thickets, so we now have had 1 for 1 and we're all good, and so everything is okay. Now hopefully if I can just get around this area and position myself slightly in front of this herd, we'll be able to get them all kind of walking towards us. That's the idea anyway. Whether or not it works, I'm not quite sure, but let's see how we go. I'm also trying to just look for a little bit of shade for Dave and I, because it is fairly warm in the sun, and so a little bit of shade would be thoroughly welcome in a day, or on a day like today, should I say, not in a day. That's not very good English, and James will, he's already beaten me once in ping pong, will probably beat me again if I carry on using English like that, so I'll try and sort myself out. Darby, I think if we go around this bush, then we should be good. Then they should be walking straight towards us from here. I can see some of them coming out. I just want to try and position ourselves slightly better. This little gap here should be good. Nice little bit of shade. I think we're going to be in a winning situation here, Darby. Here we go. Let's try to go around this little bush here. And there we go. That's better, isn't it? It's not the best shade that I could have found. There's still a bit of sun on us. I think Dave's probably got more shade than I do, but at least the Ellies are all nice and clearly visible, and you can see that they have had a fabulous time, probably at Treehouse Dam, maybe even at the Shabamu mud wallows, but they've all absolutely covered in not only mud but in water too. So they've, wherever they've been, they've had a really good bathe, and it's needed on a day like today. If you're a big large animal like an elephant, you do need a bit of water to try and kind of cool you down, as well as a bit of mud. Now, campers, you want to know what is the most dangerous animal to encounter in a vehicle? Well, you're probably looking at it. So elephants in vehicles can be incredibly dangerous. They're animals that possess serious amounts of power. They are able to easily turn over a vehicle, no problem. And you have a situation where they are, sometimes very defensive of their young ones, as well as they might have had a fight if it's a male with another male, or they're in a condition called must, which is a heightened level of testosterone, and therefore they can be a little bit temperamental. And when they decide to take you on, well, we're no match for them. Even in a car, they'll easily be able to flip a vehicle and throw all the occupants out, as well as mangle it into a piece of tin foil, basically. And so an Ellie is by far the most dangerous for us out here in vehicles, probably closely followed by buffalo and hippos, which sounds really odd, but the two of them can be a little bit feisty. Buffalo, not so much because they want to attack cars, but they normally cause damage to vehicles when being chased by lions, and they blindly panic and run, particularly at night, and then they can hit quite a few vehicles. Right, well, we're going to sit with our Ellies because there's nothing better, really. I suppose maybe a leopard with the elephants would be better, but sitting with Ellies and enjoying their company on a warm afternoon is a wonderful way to spend a day. It's very relaxing, and so we're going to spend time here. And while we do that, let's send you back over to Taylor McCurdy and the cuteness that is those little spotted hyenas.
There's no better way, Tristan, than to describe the hyenas the way you've just done. I also think that they are adorable. Now, I can understand why people don't think they're so precious when they get older. But at this age, you cannot tell me that looking at these fluffy creatures, especially the two on the left, they're very, very, very cute. They're just sort of staring at us at the moment. Tell me that that's not precious. That is absolutely adorable. And it's getting windy, and it's getting cold now. I'm surprised that they've actually come out. Thank you, little hyenas. There comes a naughty one. Just popping out of the den now. There's two naughty ones just sitting at the entrance there. I still don't know how many cubs are in this clan. I think I've seen a few more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm pretty sure we've seen a few more than this. Did we count like 9 or 10 hyena cubs the other day? I can't even remember. But perhaps between Rolf and I we can try and figure it out. And whoever else comes to the den. Oh, they're so sweet. But being very, very quiet. We've had some very interesting sightings over the last few weeks coming here. And they've been very busy. There's been a lot of fighting that's going on. So it is nice to see all peace and quiet. I say that, and then those two now they're starting to bite one another. I think they're fighting over that stick that's just coming out of the ground. It must be a root of a plant. Or perhaps a stem of a plant. Well, they're both going to chew on it. It's amazing how they didn't even acknowledge it, but as soon as one finds something, it's like kids. Give them one toy, everybody wants to play with it. Except that one that's walking away. That one's not interested. I think it's going to go and bother that older cub now. Joy, you said that they are such characters. They most certainly are. Ooh, that cuckoo has landed on the ground. I wonder if that little hyena has actually seen it, because it's marching over in that direction. Let's see if that youngster has spotted it yet and what its reaction is going to be. I don't think it's seen it. Oh, there we go. Oh, look at that. Did you see how its behavior changed very quickly? Here we go. Now we'll find out if hyena cubs chase birds or not. I could have been completely wrong. Very excited by it, though. He's stalking. Hiding. Maybe it's going to shoot out of that hole and race towards that cuckoo. However, that little hyena cub is not going to be quick enough to catch that cuckoo, I can assure you. And I think that's why that cuckoo knows that it's quite safe playing around on the ground. Most of the youngsters are out in the open where it can see. An adult hyena won't be interested in that bird. Let's see. No interest whatsoever. It's just popping back out again. Right, well, it's been a beautiful afternoon with the hyena cubs. I think we'll come back here first thing tomorrow morning and hopefully spend a bit more time with them. Perhaps you'll see some more action. Noelle is down in South Africa, as you know. She hasn't got a leopard, but she's got something that has got lots and lots of feathers.
Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. It's been hunting around the edges here for aquatic insects and also non-aquatic insects. Notice the large feet to help it through muddy areas. It also allows it to stand on top of floating vegetation like water lilies. And this bird's There, it gets an aquatic insect there, and you just saw another one floating past. Aquatic insects are really interesting. They need to breathe still, but they have different ways of being able to breathe. So for them to habitat these areas that this we got one, that this jacana is fishing in, they can attain the water underwater from plants using a snorkel. They can also fill up their lungs and then they stay underwater for long periods of time. Or some of them have evolved self-contained underwater breathing mechanisms, like some spiders and some adult insects, and they trap air bubbles over their spiracles. Their spiracles are how they breathe. And then mosquito larvae are quite interesting. They have sharp spiracles to penetrate plants to get air bubbles, or they use a snorkel on their back end that they hang upside down in and then get water that way. Also, some aquatic beetles trap air underneath their wings. So all of those insects are able to live in this habitat, and then because they can live and breathe in this habitat, something like this jacana is able to obtain food sources, and then its body has developed to be able to access some of their species that other birds wouldn't necessarily be able to do because of the foot structure and where it can live. David, you're saying this is now number 47 on your list. Fantastic. I'm hoping that's 47 for 2018. That's a good list so far. Tristan and I were talking today. Tristan's going on leave soon, and I asked him what he was doing, and he's oh, there. It caught one there. Nice little aquatic insect. Tristan's going to go birding in the Kruger National Park, and he's going to go look for some lifers there, and I'm very jealous of the lifer list that he's aiming for this leave. And if he gets some, I'm going to then have to go on leave very shortly and, and try and tick them off as well.
As they pull up tufts, you can just hear this ripping and then the slow walking as they kind of go through it, and then every now and then leaves brushing on their skin. It's a lovely sound to listen to, and that coupled by the breeze is, like I say, a very, very pleasant way to spend the afternoon. Now, funny enough, actually, where these elephants are standing right now, just to the right of them on the ground, you'll see a big sandy patch that's there. So that area over there, Darby. Now, that little patch there, if some of you may remember a few months ago, is where Shadow went chasing after a warthog, and she was digging around in there, and as she turned her back and walked away, the warthog came flying out. So if she'd just been a little bit more patient, she might have gotten lucky. But it's amazing to see the difference. When we filmed that, there was absolutely no grass around it, and it was a fairly bare patch. Now, it's incredibly well hidden. I only just noticed it now as the Ellie kind of walked past, that it's exactly that spot where we had Shadow digging for warthog. So amazing how things change in the summer months. Right, Darby, let's just reposition slightly. So we're going to try and get ourselves into a different area once again.
And take off at high speed. So and came out of that bush. Yes, we are. It's where the cheetah. Maybe we're going to get our second cheetah kill in a day, or in the afternoon, actually. Oh, rain, go away! Rain, go away! Just wait till let me find the cheetah. She missed. It looks like she missed. Where are my binoculars? Where are my binoculars? Binos, where are you? Is that her there? It definitely looks like it. Yeah, she missed. You see her, Adrian? Just hang on, go back. Zoom. Right in the center of screen. There, where my finger is. She missed whatever she was chasing. Oh dear, so much excitement right at the end of the safari. But now I am going to make like a cheetah, probably not drive as fast, but I'm going to try get away from that storm before it hits us. And there we go. Adrian's going to give you one last look. There's the rainbow, the wall of dust, and the massive storm behind. Isn't that beautiful? Actually, let's just take a moment. Stunning. Now I really have to dash. Let's go back to Tristan and the elephants. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Quickly go over to them so that you can see them.
Indeed we are. So just next to Twin Dams, we're a little bit on the sort of western side of Twin Dams, there is a cheetah. Can you believe this? This is absolutely ridiculous. Where a cheetah has come from and what it is doing here, I have absolutely no idea. It's a relaxed cheetah, so which cheetah is and whether it's a male or a female, I haven't established yet. It looks like a female. I haven't seen a cheetah in so long, I wouldn't even know what a female is, to be honest. But it is ridiculous nonetheless, and so cool to see. I can't actually believe that we've managed to have a cheetah on djuma after all of this time. Can you believe that? And it's sitting in the shade as relaxed could be, right in the middle of the bush. Where it's come from, I'm at a loss for words. I have no idea where this cheetah could have been from. Now, maybe some of you will be able to ID them. I know that we have two males that we see in this area. One has got a bit of an opaque eye. The other one, well, it's got a bit of a different look to it. It doesn't have any opaque eyes, but maybe the spot patterns will match. Maybe somebody will figure out who this cheetah is. Maybe it's our female that had the cubs, because the cubs would have been at an age that they might have been left alone, and now she's seeking out males. Or who knows, could it be a situation that it is a new individual to this area? Now, I believe a lot of you are super excited, as am I, and you're saying that I need to take a breather. Well, I don't know if I can. I'm sorry. It's that exciting because we sit here in the Sabi Sands and we watch the Mara and we see cheetahs all over the place, and we get a little jealous about it because obviously it's been very tough times for cheetah and with us here in djuma, and so it's very exciting when we get one. And like I say, here at Twin Dams, of all places, is absolutely ridiculous. So we're super fortunate that we've managed to catch up with it. It seems like it's going to rest and relax and just have a nice snooze, and maybe it will get up a little bit later. So we haven't managed to find a leopard, but I certainly will take this any time of the day. How ridiculous is this? I'm shocked, to be honest. Like I say, I have no idea if it's a male or female, no idea where it's come from. I was saying to Dave earlier that we saw tracks around Philemon's Dip that I thought potentially could be cheetah tracks, and then dismissed it because, well, I haven't seen a cheetah track in that area since I've been at Safari Live. I thought it might be our three-lobed hyena, because there's a hyena here that's got three lobes, and it makes it quite tough sometimes. You see that track and you can be a little bit kind of unsure, so I just dismissed it. But clearly I was wrong, and it was actually a cheetah track that was moving through the property. Scout, yes, cheetahs do have unique spot patterns like leopards. They have the same kind of system, is that their spots will be arranged differently. So you can use certain spot patterns to be able to ID them, particularly around the head area. On the flanks of the body are always good ones to use, and so there's a number of different ways to do it. But they can be ID'd just as successfully as both leopard and lions around the whisker areas as well, but most of the time you'll find that spots will be used on the flanks of the body or around the back of the head or the sort of area above the eyes, which is very, very cool. It makes it nice and easy to be able to work out who's who. Like I say though, I'm still not 100% sure if it's a male or a female. Maybe some of you that have seen some of the other cheetahs in the Sabi Sands or seen pictures of the other cheetahs in the Sabi Sands, maybe it's the male from south of us. So there's a male that hangs around on Singita, Londolozi area. There's a big southern grassland down there. There's a male that moves around there. So maybe it could be him coming north. Could be one of our two brothers, like I say, or it could be that female that has the three cubs, that maybe the three cubs have gone independent and she's now actively searching out a male. But absolutely ridiculous. I cannot believe that there is a cheetah sitting on djuma right now. It's pretty insane. And not only sitting, it's very relaxed as well, which is absolutely ridiculous. Now, Ali, you're wondering if there's different subspecies of cheetah. Well, no. So the cheetah that we see here and the cheetah that you see in the Mara are the same thing. There's no different species between the two of them. Unfortunately, though, their numbers were reduced so much so that genetically they're all very similar. And so what they've been trying to do is trying to move cheetah around from Namibia, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Botswana, and Kenya and Tanzania, and try and kind of mix them all up and try and get a better genetic variety from the small amount that they had. I think at one point cheetah were down to just over 20 in their numbers, and then they were repopulated out from there. So they're all very, very similar genetically. In fact, they can all be traced back to pretty much the same kind of individual. So it's an interesting sort of situation, but there is no subspecies of cheetah here in Africa, that's for sure, which is crazy. Well, which is not crazy, I suppose. It is just how it is. There's no subspecies of leopards either, really. So, Karen, you say there's one cheetah here. Is there likely to be others? Well, no, not necessarily. So, we don't have a situation like the Mara where there's a very big or high density of cheetah where big coalitions form like the Five Musketeers, or a lot of females that have young ones. So it's very seldom that we get cheetah through here, and the cheetah that we do get, often it's males on their own or females on their own. We seldom see bigger coalitions. Also, from where she's lying or he's lying, I can't tell you, like I say, if it's male or female. There's no other cheetah that I can see. I don't see a cheetah anywhere else here in these shady sections, and so I don't think there is another one here, and it's not uncommon to find individuals on their own. If it's a female, it's not surprising, because obviously she does have to be on her own sometimes. She will have to mate to produce her cubs before she can have them. And then if it's male, well, maybe he didn't have a coalition member to start with, and it's just been a solitary individual. Or he could be a situation where it's one of the two males that we saw around Cheetah Plains that maybe split for some reason. We know that they did split at the beginning of the year, and so maybe that's the same situation once again, and they've now gotten into a situation where they're kind of looking for each other, and that's why there's this distribution. But I have no idea. Like I say, I'm not sure who it is or where it comes from. Monique, you say seeing a cheetah at djuma is about as rare as seeing a leopard in the Mara. Well, Monique, I'm not going to lie to you. I think it actually might be rarer. And the reason why I say that is because in my time here at djuma, which has been a year now, this is only the second sighting of cheetah that has been on djuma. I luckily have been fortunate enough to see both sets of cheetahs, or both sightings should I say, but it is only the second time in that entire period that we've seen cheetah on djuma, or found tracks for cheetah on djuma. So it gives you an idea of how rare it really is. In the Mara, I know we don't see leopards that often, but there's still been quite a few sightings of them, and I know Brent has seen quite a few off air as well. So Gemma, you're wondering why these cheetah are so rare in the Sabi Sands? A number of reasons. One is habitat is not ideal. If you look at the difference between what we have here and what you see in the Mara, it's a very different picture. The Mara tends to be these big open grassland areas, whereas here we've got a situation where we've got a lot of trees, it's dense, it's thick, and therefore cheetah, one, can't get up to top speed a lot of the time in these areas. Two, they tend to run into other predators a lot of the time, so you'll find a situation where they have a lot of competition with lion, hyena and leopard, particularly leopards, and so their numbers are controlled a lot by those other apex predators in the area, and because it's so dense, they often get themselves into trouble a lot easier than those in the Mara. And we've seen how many times those cheetahs in the Mara have come across lions. It's fairly regular, and so these guys unfortunately just don't have the option or the ability to see as far, and therefore a number of them have been killed, and they don't thrive like they would in that open area. It's not to say that parts of Southern Africa or parts of South Africa and the Creator Kruger Park system don't do well. It's just that the Sabi Sands itself is not really great habitat, and coupled with a very high density of leopard and lion and hyena means that it's not a great area for cheetah to survive. If you go into the central parts of the Kruger Park area, and so into the sort of open grassland areas around Satara and then down towards Crocodile Bridge, there the numbers of cheetah are fairly good. You'll find there's a couple down there, and they're fairly sort of successful in those areas. But down here in the Sabi Sands, it's just really not the right type of terrain, and like I say, too many predators for them to survive. This is ridiculous. And like I say, it's so chilled, so it must have seen vehicles off-roading many times, so it's not an animal that's come out of the Kruger, because animals in Kruger generally are a little bit skittish. It also seems to be an animal that must know this area, that it's so comfortable in just sleeping like that. It's not really that kind of perturbed by the cars that are around it, which begs the question as to who this is, and, like I say, why is it here? That is the interesting question. I know there was a cheetah that used to hang around on Arethusa airstrip. Maybe it's that individual, I'm not 100% sure. We also used to have a female many moons ago when I first started at Chitwa that had a massive scar down its left side, which was a female cheetah, and that individual just disappeared. Maybe it's her that's come back, I have no idea. Either way, it's exciting, and either way, it's incredibly special that we've managed to find this. And what a way to start off our year, to have a cheetah on djuma. Absolutely ridiculous. You're wondering if there's a possibility that this cheetah would have a territory here in djuma in the near future. Difficult to say. I mean, we do get cheetah moving through and they pass through and they don't set up a territory. I doubt that we're going to see too much of a territory here. We might see it hang around for the next couple of days, but I don't think we'll see a massive territory set up. There's too many leopards here at the moment. I mean, we're sitting in an area, this is exactly where Tundi and Shadow basically were fighting yesterday. So there was 2-3 leopards that were here. We know that, Tingana, Hosana, Tamba, they all move around in this area, which is a potential threat for her. The Nkuma pride, the Styx pride. So I highly doubt that this individual is going to set up a territory right here. It might go towards quarantine and see, oh, hang on a second, this is quite nice, and spend a couple days around here and maybe every now and then come through. But whether it would set up an actual territory that we would see it more regularly than that, I don't think so, but anything is possible. You never know with animals, they could potentially do it, and wouldn't be the first time that I've seen a cheetah eke out an existence in even the most inhospitable terrain for them. There was a cheetah that used to hang around Simambili, and around Simambili on the Manyeleti drainage there is incredibly thick, much thicker than probably most of the places we have on djuma. And this cheetah used to roam around in there quite often and was very successful, funny enough, in amongst those thickets. And so it might even be this individual that is here now. So who knows? Maybe it's possible, I suppose, but I just don't think so. I think it would be a situation where there's too many other predators around for there to be any sort of semblance of hope for this cheetah to actually establish a really big territory or to be here regularly. But you never know. I would be delighted to be proved wrong in this situation, and absolutely happy for this cheetah to stick around for a lot longer, that's for sure, because, well, like I say, just ridiculous. To have the spotted cats around in the form of leopards is the most incredible thing, but to have cheetah in the mix as well, for us, is a very special surprise. So I would love to have it around a lot more than what we have seen over the past. I just want to know where it came from. That's my biggest question right now. So, Kathy, you're wondering if Hosana would try and chase this cheetah away and do leopards and cheetahs fight over territory? Well, I'll start with the latter question. So, leopards and cheetah most certainly do fight over territory, and there's been a number of cheetah that have been killed by leopards in the Kruger Park system that I've seen. I've seen a cheetah being hoisted into a tree once before, which is a bit macabre, but does happen. So, leopards will chase cheetahs and most certainly will go after them and not share territory. I mean, there'll obviously be an overlap of territory, but if they catch cheetahs, they will kill them. But in saying that, Hosana seems as though I don't know what, Hosana's got another story to him. He likes to kind of just spend time with everybody, and it seems as though yesterday he was messing around with the wild dogs, and I saw a video of him chasing a hyena around all over the place, and then, he tries to make friends with all the other leopards. So maybe he would try and make friends with this cheetah and just be interested in what it is. I don't think Hosana probably has ever life before, so it would be a thing to know what he did if he came across this animal. I think he'd be more curious than anything else and approach it, and maybe in aggressive, and that would trigger him to try and chase it. I don't know. I think it would be a very cool sighting to have, to see him. On the other hand, though, Tundi and Shadow most certainly would chase this cat because it's a threat to their cubs, and so they would not tolerate this cheetah here at all. There was, when was it? I think it was in 2014, maybe 2015, somewhere there. There was a standoff between Quatila and a cheetah on the Arethusa runway, and eventually Quatila was the one that chased this cheetah, and the cheetah kind of moved off and retreated. But it was interesting to watch that whole interaction because that cheetah actually stood its ground for a little bit with Quatila, and the two of them kind of circled around each other, and then eventually the cheetah decided, no, I'm going to get out of here, and trotted off, and Quatila was left there on the airstrip by herself. But so it just goes to show that generally a cheetah would give way over a leopard 9 times out of 10, or in fact 100 times out of 100. Really. I would imagine they might try and defend themselves a little bit, but they'll try and get out as much as possible. Now, Dave, I'm going to just reposition you because I got so excited when we first got in that I didn't really park very nicely at all. So I'm going to try and park in a better way. Well, Noel, yes, it is a better view. We don't have spider webs on our lens, so Dave is being very studious and has made sure our lens is nice and clean. And I've positioned him in a better spot that we can actually see a nice long sort of side of the cheetah, and if it pops its head up, we can at least get a better view. Now, from this position here, it looks potentially like it could be a female. Just the size of it, it looks very small, very slender. It doesn't have that same sort of male build, but like I say, I haven't seen a cheetah in so long that, honestly, I could be completely wrong, but it looks like a female to me. I'm not 100% sure, though. Either way, it is a cheetah that is in need of a meal. If you look at its tummy there, it's quite sucked in. This is quite common for cheetah, though. They often do look like that, but it does look as though it could do with a little bit of food in order to just top that belly up. Wouldn't it be exciting if this cheetah decides to get up just now, start walking, goes on to Weaver's Nest, up Weaver's Nest, all the way to quarantine and starts to hunt on quarantine, and we film a cheetah hunting on quarantine? Wouldn't that just be the most ridiculous thing? Dave, would you want that? Good, yeah. Yes, exactly. Dave wants that as well. I want that. So let's hope that this does happen. It is the most insane thing to think that that could be a possibility. If you had asked me this morning or this afternoon, you're going to go and see, or tell me, sorry, you're going to go and see a cheetah at Twin Dams, and it's going to be on djuma, I would have laughed at you and told you that that's just ridiculous and you shouldn't tell lies or fibs. But there you go. It's a proof right there that you just absolutely never know what you can see on safari, and it's part of the reason why doing what we do and why people going on safari is just the most magical thing, because you could never, ever in your wildest dreams think of half of the things that you get to see by just driving around here. And some days you get spoilt, some days you don't, but today is definitely a very special day to be able to see a cheetah. And I know it's sleeping, and I know it doesn't look as though it's doing much, and it doesn't seem very interesting maybe to some people who have just joined us, or people who have seen many cheetahs in their life before, but given the circumstance around it, it is very, very, very interesting to me. And I think it's absolutely fascinating that we've got a cheetah on djuma once again. So I'm super happy. Mohammed, you say look at those perfectly arranged spots. They do have beautiful spots, don't they? And you tend to forget. I mean, I always look at leopards and always say that they are the most beautiful animal out here, and the reason why is because we just see them so much that you kind of forget about the beauty of a cheetah's coat. Cheetah does have this incredible sort of coloration. It's much lighter, I find, in the leopards, and those solid spots are also just as beautiful as any leopard as well. So it's a stunning animal, and just like I say, to be in the presence of it is a very special thing. So super happy that we are able to get here and that it didn't cross out. It looked like, apparently it was kind of moving around and looking like it might go southwards, but the way that it's lying now, it's almost lying in a way that it looks as though it wants to go northwards, which is very, very good. So if it stands up, it's facing north. Hopefully it will then carry on that way and go back up towards the quarantine area. But I'm at a bit of a loss for words. I know it doesn't sound like it because I'm talking a lot, but that's just because I'm excited. But I honestly am at a bit of a loss for words as to what's going on and why there is a cheetah on djuma right now. Seems as though it's very sleepy too as well. It doesn't seem as though we're going to get too much from it right now, but it's worth being patient, that's for sure, because you never know. It's that time of the day as well where we might see a situation where this cheetah does decide to get up and to maybe start moving around, and having a situation where we'll get some form of excitement out of it. It's hungry enough, so I would imagine that hunting is definitely on the cards, and so we'll have to just see. Enigma, this cheetah doesn't have to travel far at all, so at this stage to go and try and find food and good hunting grounds, there's two options for it. One is to go south, and just south of us here is an area called Luca's Open. Now Luca's Open is on Little Gowrie, and it's a nice little open clearing, and then if it carries on south of that, it goes on to really nice clearings on Hofmans, which is a property to the south of us, and those are really good places for a cheetah to hunt. I've seen cheetah there before, but on djuma itself, it would probably have to travel walking time for a cat, maybe I would say 15 minutes north of us, which would then take it up towards sort of quarantine area, Philemon's cut line. Those areas would all be okay for a cheetah to hunt on, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do end up hunting in that area. So, that's not too far away. I suppose it seems far because, it takes an animal a while to get there. They don't just walk straight there, and this cheetah probably doesn't know this area very well at all, and therefore it's got a situation where it's got to try and work out exactly what's going on around it. But not far away at all. Even Twin Dams itself could theoretically be a hunting ground. So Tula-Ann, who's 5 years old. Hello, Tula-Ann. It's been a long time since I've heard from you, and I hope that you're having a wonderful weekend. And you must say hello to Tucker for me as well. Now, Tula-Ann, you're wondering if cheetahs are as sleepy as the lions and the leopards. Well, yes, they do sleep a lot like the lions and the leopards do. We have a situation where, as you can see, this leopard is quite tired. But, Tula-Ann, normally what happens with cheetah is that they're a little bit more active during the day, so they like to move around while it's still light. They don't like to hunt as much during the night as the lions and the leopards, unless they're the Five Musketeers, who seem to not really care too much, and they don't mind hunting even in the night time. But most of the time the cheetah would like to hunt in the day, and so we get to see them active more than we see what the lions and leopards do, because the lions and leopards tend to be more active during the night time. So this cheetah is probably resting because it's still quite warm, Tula-Ann, but once that sun goes down just a little bit, I think this cheetah might stand up and start moving again, which will be quite nice. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens and just have a little look and see whether or not it does wake up. But I'm very excited, Tula-Ann, and I hope you are too. I hope that we'll get this cheetah to walk around, and that it will be able to see exactly what it gets up to in the last light of the day. For now, though, it's trying to be its best impression of a rug and trying to sleep as much as possible. James, you're wondering if she could attract the cheetah brothers if she were in estrus. Well, most certainly. So, I mean, if she was in proper estrus and she scent marks enough and walks from where the cheetah brothers come from, then yes, we could have a situation that they'll follow her from there. Also, she might vocalize a little bit if she's looking for a mate, and if she vocalizes, then you never know. Maybe they pick it up and they start moving into this area. That's assuming that this is a female. It looks very feminine in its sort of weight and its way that it sort of has built. But if it is a female and its scent marks in the right places and walks in the right areas, then yes, the boys might follow her all the way to djuma if she's come from those areas. Also, like I say, if she does call and vocalize, we know with leopard and lions, both of the females in that, when they do come into estrus, will vocalize at times to try and attract males towards where they are, or try and find males. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not they do. I mean, if she is a female and she definitely doesn't have cubs, then an estrus cycle is a possibility at some point. And when a female cheetah is roaming like this, it's often because she is in search of a mate. And who knows, maybe that does lead the two boys into these areas. But you can see how much more aware she is than a leopard or a lion. Most leopards and lions would just sleep and wouldn't be too worried. But every little sound that is made around this individual, head goes up, scans around a little bit, listens out with those big ears, just to make sure it's not going to be caught unawares by any one of the other predators or something that could potentially be dangerous. But back to sleep again. I'm quite curious as to what it is. I'm hoping it's going to turn, and if it turns over or rolls over, its legs hopefully will open, and that will answer the mystery as to whether it's a boy or a girl. At this stage, it's impossible to tell which one it is 100%, but like I said, the build just seems to be a very sleek and slender, and kind of the head and neck area just remind me of a female, not really a male, but I could be wrong. Like I said, it's been so long. Right, now, apparently, while we sit and be patient with our cheetah, who's still very restful, I believe Noel is not restful at all and seems to be up and down and up and down and up and down, and maybe our cheetah can get some lessons in what Noel has been busy doing. Well, I hope that Noel finds her last-minute leopard, and hopefully in the time that Noel is looking for her last-minute leopard, our cheetah decides to stand up and start moving. It would be very, very nice if it did. I'm hoping that for some reason it just sees something that and decides this is what I want to go and maybe hunt or eat. We're in a good place because there's a number of impalas that often come down towards Twin Dams for a drink at this time of the day, and so who knows, maybe this cheetah decides to head down there and catches an impala unawares in that area. That's what I'm hoping for. Whether or not it is going to happen, I'm not quite sure. Now, Sprout, you're wondering, what do cheetahs normally hunt? Well, cheetahs will, in the Sabi Sands generally, will hunt small to medium-sized antelope. So they go after a lot of duiker, steenbok particularly. Also impala lambs would be high up on the menu, even impalas themselves. And then also things like scrub hares, they'll also chase those down. The marits, obviously they go after gazelles more than probably anything else. They do also chase scrub hares. It depends again on the number of cheetah as well. You've seen with the 5 musketeers, they go after fairly large prey in the form of young zebras and young wildebeest and even quite large wildebeest there as well. So the more there are, the easier it becomes to hunt larger animals. But a single cheetah like this, most of what she's going to try and go for are small impalas, steenbok, duiker, scrub hares. That would be what this individual would probably hunt. It's not a massive cheetah, this, and so, you know, at the end of the day, it's not going to be able to really wrestle too much with big things like wildebeest or even zebra. That would be far too big. It might be able to catch one of those baby wildebeest for sure. So at the end of the day, we have a situation where we, you know, we'll try hopefully not have footloose being killed, but if this cheetah would go up there and hunt, I think those little wildebeest would be probably in a bit of trouble. It seems as though it's just starting to fall asleep again. Now, because we're sitting here and we're waiting and we're being patient for our cheetah to decide to wake up and move around, I think we should have a little one-word tweet about a cheetah on djuma. What do you think, Dave? One-word tweet about cheetah on djuma. Hashtag Safari Live or YouTube chat even if you want to, as to what you think about this cheetah on djuma. You can either decide if you want to have a emotion, or you can tell me whether you think it's male or female, or anything really, as to what this cheetah kind of evokes in you and what you think about the fact that we have a cheetah on djuma at this very point. So maybe let's do that and see what everybody thinks out there. I'm pretty sure 99% of you are as excited as I am, because it's ridiculous to actually have this individual here on the property at the moment. Still very curious as to whether it's male or female. I think maybe if the cheetah doesn't decide to move just now, I might just take it, sort of drive around the backside of it and just see if maybe we can get a tail flick and just see if there's any man parts or if it's a little lady part underneath there. We'll have to just have a look and hopefully we'll get something that will confirm what it is. But you can see, look at the head. The head is very small and quite a thin neck as well. So if it is a male, it seems to be that it might be a fairly youngish male. The ears are in quite good condition. There's not too many nicks or cuts out of those ears. There's a little bit of scarring on the back, which would be from ticks, but there's not too much in the way of damage in those ears, and so maybe it's a younger individual, a young male, potentially. I don't know. Interesting. I will have to try and see. My experience with cheetahs is very limited. I certainly don't have as much experience with cheetahs as a lot of other presenters that are part of the Safari Live team. There's a number of others that have spent a lot more time around cheetahs than what I have, and particularly the guys that have been up in Kenya, they've obviously seen some amazing things with the cheetahs. So I don't really know if it is a young male or if it's an old male or if it's a female. Like I say, I'm just guessing, given that I've seen big males, and the 2 males down on Cheetah Plains appear much larger than this individual that we're seeing here. So DCH, both sexes will mark territory, much like a leopard or lions. They both will urinate and defecate and in a form of marking. You'll find though that much like the lionesses and things, the amount of marking they do generally is far less than what you see from the males. The males will mark everything because they're trying to keep other males out, whereas the females tend to really kind of just go about it and do it, particularly when they feel like there's pressure around. So in this case, let's say with Tundi and Shadow, they would mark quite a bit, and if this is a female, had another female around, I'd expect her to mark a lot more than what she probably is now. Especially if it is an individual that is just passing through, there probably won't be too much scent marking from this individual until it decides, well, maybe this is an area that I'm going to spend time, and then it might. But they both do mark their territories, that's for sure. Right, so we have our cheetah, but Noel has apparently been successful and has managed to track down a slinky rosetted cat.
Look what on Hosana. Alright, so this was some epic dual tracking by myself and Vildy, and as we were driving up just now, I'm looking hectically into the strange line going, where could he be? And Vildy goes, look, and there he is, right in the middle of the road. Our beautiful, beautiful Prince of djuma. Thanks, my boy. Looking a little bit fat, I'm not gonna lie. What have you been eating? Oh, I'm over the moon right now. Cheetah, leopard, both on djuma. This is too good. This is an epic afternoon, an epic Sunday afternoon. Can we hear the little Franklin alarm calling in the back? So that's a Franklin. I don't know if we can hear it. It's a Franklin going, it's a leopard! It's like a loud whisper, it's a leopard! Ooh, Paula, good question. Who's stronger, a leopard or a cheetah? Paula, definitely a leopard. A leopard is stronger, for sure. A cheetah is meant for speed, is long and lithe, and its bone structure is lighter than that of a leopard. This young male leopard here can kill a full-grown impala and drag it several meters up a tree. That cheetah can run for far distances and catch, say, a full-grown impala, but it's going to use its prowess in its speed and its claws to take it down. Actually, you're not as full as I thought you were. You've definitely been eating, but you're not as full as I thought you were. Please don't go across the drainage line, my boy. It's very difficult over there. You can go and lie in that shade, though. That'll be fine. He sees something. He sees something that's interesting him. He's not in full stock mode, but he's definitely keen on maybe some birds in the drainage line. Not quite sure. I'm trepidatious to move at this moment in time. I know that the branches and the leaves are in the way, but that's okay. It allows us to see his camouflage coat just a little bit better. There's also possibly something like Nyala or Diker in here. The wind is blowing from the right-hand side of Hosana to his left, so that's away from the drainage line. So if he has seen something that hasn't seen him, his scent will be blown away and gives him a better opportunity. You can see his ears are listening, but they're a bit more forward. And he stopped and is keeping his eyes straight ahead. But it's not, look, from his behavior, it's not something that's right here, right now. He has to kill it and eat it. But there's definitely a movement that's attracting his attention, which is why I say something like birds. Remember, leopards will eat guinea fowl, they'll eat franklins. I've seen them chasing after doves. As you all know, Hosana, when he was much younger, even ate things like terrapins, amazingly enough. I've seen leopards eat scorpions, baby mice. But this is looking more like a bird. And do you remember that day a couple of months ago, or maybe a month ago, when he was busy stalking that tree squirrel in that bush just there by Chitwa Dam? Okay, so he's not low down anymore. He's just moving. I think let's move the vehicle. Monique, you're wondering if it's possible for Hosana to smell that cheetah. Monique, we're a bit far from there, to be honest with you. If we were closer, it's possible. But again, he'd be more attracted to the urination smells of the other leopards and smells of other leopards than, say, that cheetah. Although I do think if he were to see the cheetah, he would get super curious about it, but I don't think he would necessarily expose himself. He's still a little bit young. If he was an older male and spied that cheetah or caught a whiff of that cheetah, he might go after it. Lions definitely will. It's also possible maybe a warthog came past. I've seen leopards scenting after warthogs before. We've seen it on the show before many times. See how his tail's twitching there? He's interested. Where he's heading to is quite a difficult area for us. We are going to do our best to stick with him. As long as he sticks sort of this side, we will be okay. I think let's go back to Tristan, who has that cheetah still. Let's go get another view, and Vildi and I will work on keeping Hosana in our sights for all of you.
And then walk north up to Weaver's Nest and then go that way. We'll need an extension.
Yeah. Live. Yeah. Right, now, I believe we are live, but unfortunately I have no comms whatsoever, so who knows what's been going on. I'm hoping that she's going to go, or he, I'm not sure, northwards up towards Twin Dams or somewhere in that area. Well, that's the idea anyway. It's yawning, so that might mean that there is time to get up and start moving. All of a sudden there was a bit of a kind of head up and quite alert moving sort of northwards and, well, looking northwards. So I'm hoping that this yawning might be a good sign for us that this cheetah is going to get up and go. Twin Dam's not far, so even if it goes for a drink, it would be quite nice. But let's just have a look. We came around this side because I thought maybe I'll be able to get an idea of whether it's a boy or a girl. But I can't see much at all. There's a lot of grass in the way, but lots of yawning. I think we're going to see it getting up, and its general demeanor to me looks female. Like I say, could be completely wrong, but it just kind of doesn't look as bulky as the males, that's for sure, particularly the ones that we see around Cheetah Plains. And you can see there's actually 3 spots there just on its right shoulder, so that would be quite nice for trying to ID this animal. If we ever saw other cheetahs, or we have pictures of other cheetahs, maybe somebody who's got pictures of the cheetah female with the 3 that came onto djuma a few months ago can use those 3 spots just on the shoulder area, just where her head was. You can see there's kind of 3 in a row there, and they're quite unique, so that would be a nice thing to use to be able to maybe try and ID it and try and see whether or not this individual has been seen on djuma before, or if it's a new cheetah to the area. It's obviously difficult for us because we have a situation where we don't see cheetah regularly enough. Even that female with those 3 cubs, that was the first time we saw her, was a few months ago, and so very difficult to know whether or not this is an individual. But there we go, standing up. It does look female. Was it a male? It is a male, eh? Yes, it is a boy. Look at that. Interesting. So it is a male. It's a young male then, but it's got a sore paw. Look at that. That paw is injured, so it's limping a little bit. Very swollen in that area, which is not ideal for a cheetah, and maybe that's why it's a little bit sort of skinny and why it's ended up in this area. Wonder if this isn't one of those 3 young ones that's moved into this section. Interesting nonetheless, but it's definitely got a bit of trouble walking on that paw. That paw looks a little sore and a little uncomfortable. Let's just try and quickly get through, but I'm surprised it's a male. It must be a young male, because that body and that build is very, very slight in comparison to what I've seen from the big boys on Cheetah Plains. They are quite bulky animals and actually look quite impressive, whereas this guy is fairly small in his appearance, that's for sure. But shame, that front paw is definitely not looking very nice at all. Are you going to just sit there behind the sticks, or are you going to allow us to come around? Oh, this light on this cheetah is absolute. Look at those eyes. Look how beautiful that light. Oh, sorry, Darby, let me go forward a bit. Look at that. And that is why cheetah have the most mesmerizing eyes, because when you get this orange golden light and it shines in those eyes, it is just, they come alive, and it almost looks like they've got fire in their eyes. They are absolutely stunning creatures when they have that situation. Now, I don't know, I think this cheetah is going to go back into that same spot and maybe just lie down there again. It's sore, it's got a paw that doesn't probably feel very comfortable at all, and so I think it's going to have a situation where maybe it's just going to try and find another place to rest, although it's moving southwards, and that's, oh, not good. Now, Scarlett, you say for a one-word tweet, you say surreal. Well, it is surreal to have this cheetah on djuma, and it looks like it might cross southwards over the boundary, so we're going to just try and reverse and try and get one last glimpse of it as it goes over the boundary and sort of heads that way. And while we do that, let's send you over to Noel and Hosana.
Hi everyone! I'm busy driving, trying to keep up with our beautiful boy here, so excuse the back of my head. What I'm going to try and do is I'm just going to come around him so that maybe we can get a nice visual with, 1, the back of my head, and 2, with hopefully some nice light. So I'm just going to come around like this, through our little combretum trees, our little bush willows. And I'm so sorry about any breakup in signal. We're in a funny little edge of a drainage line, which makes it a little bit difficult. There we go. This will be nice, hopefully. He's still interested in every now and then in something. Not quite sure what. There's also a possibility, Billy and I were tracking Tingana earlier, and I know that they got quarantined. I'm not quite sure where. I think maybe over on Torchwood, which is not far from us. So I think that there's possibly a lot of other leopard scents, and Tumba was also not far away. Oh, the cheetah is crossing the boundary. Go to Tristan quickly.
Well, it is crossing the boundary. It's just standing on the road though, and then off it goes into Little Gowrie. So pretty amazing to see. That is a spectacular way for us to have a sort of afternoon drive. It's absolutely ridiculous. It seems to be walking okay now. It's very swollen there, and I'm sure it's quite sore, but with a bit of adrenaline, I think this cheetah would actually be able to move fairly well. I think it would be able to actually maybe catch a meal. It definitely could do with one, but it is walking semi-decently, to be honest. It's not as bad as it first kind of appeared when it first stood up, but there it goes, slinking its way through the thickets. And so unfortunately for us, that's going to be the last that we're going to see of our cheetah as it goes southwards and deeper into Little Gowrie. But how incredible was that? Absolutely amazing. Raghu, you're wondering what the chances of this cheetah's survival is? Well, difficult to say. I mean, at the end of the day, it's limping, which is never easy. There's a number of other predators here, which is going to make life difficult for it, but it's possible. I mean, I've seen other cheetahs survive. The cheetah that I was referring to earlier with the big scar down its side, that was a cheetah that was attacked by lions and somehow managed to survive. It had a gash from its front leg to its back leg, so you can imagine how difficult that was, but yet it found a way. So I'm hoping that this cheetah also finds a way somehow and makes a plan and it gets, well, is able to feed itself, and then we may get to see it again someday soon, which would be quite nice. Right, well, we're going to carry on. I'll go back towards where Tandi and the trucks were and see if maybe we can get lucky there. While we do that, let's go back across to Noel and Hosana.
So we still have him, and he's doing the funniest thing. He's not walking straight as per normal. He is zigging and zagging, and he's up and down, which I think is one of the reasons why it took us as long as it did to find him. Sniffing there on the tree, possibly some scent marks. Also remember, we're not far from where Kachava likes to be as well, so there's possibly scent marks of females. And females that he'll know. Smelling all around the base of that tree there. Now, I have not seen Hosana scent marking yet, but because he was abandoned so young, and because it looks like he's trying to take over pieces of Tingana's territory, it wouldn't surprise me if he starts doing it earlier than you would normally see. I'm just trying to figure out which way he wants to go before I move us. Oh, there, everyone, that's beautiful. That's absolutely gorgeous there. So I've seen Tingana here. Q usually doesn't come this far, but it does happen from time to time, and I've seen Kachava just south of here. There's that Fleming grimace. Definitely leopard scent on that tree. Definitely. He's going to do it again. You see how the hair on the back of his neck is standing up just a little bit. All right, investigated that. So part of his zigging and zagging might have quite a lot to do with whatever this previous leopard was doing in this area, as opposed to us. I mean, you all know Hosana. He likes Ronald the Rover. He enjoys our vehicles. I've had him on foot several times. He finds us extremely interesting. And we're not factoring in his life at all at the moment. I'm just going to back up. And try and maneuver us so that when he starts going the way that he's going again, that we manage to catch him as best as possible and then can keep following him as best as possible. Katie, good question. He is almost fully grown. He needs about another 2 years. For him to get that nice buff appearance. Now, while we have him right here, there's actually a beautiful view of a battler just straight up from where he is. Gorgeous eagle, gorgeous light. I just wanted to show that to all of you as he stops to sniff around. Because remember, watching leopards and birding is the two best things in the whole world, besides lions on foot and elephants on foot. Those are the 4 best things. And he's going to head straight up this pathway and then across a little bit. So remember that whatever territorial leopard was here would have walked along a similar route and would have sprayed the urine like you saw there on that knobthorn tree. and then would have walked a little bit and then sprayed urine and then walked a little bit and then sprayed urine, and so on and so on. Now I have seen, we were talking about if Hosana could smell that cheetah and things like that. I've seen with lions smelling where leopard had urinated, and I've seen leopards smelling where lions have urinated. Well, there we go, my boy. Thank you for that. But they don't usually do it to then, you know, bloodhound track that particular species. It's just part of the scent that they're keen on as they're going about their daily or nightly business. Again, notice the twitch to the tail, how interested he is in whatever it is that he's seen. Watch. Watch his whole behavior right now. He's seen something that he definitely wants to go after. Scout, you're wondering, sorry, Bex, just send that question through one more time, wondering the natural predator of? Oh, what is the natural predator of a leopard, Scout? Natural predator of a leopard would be other leopards or lion, or if it's leopard cubs, cheetah will kill leopard cubs. Hyenas will kill leopards. No predator likes another predator. And then, of course, humans. He's definitely seen something. And we've got Franklin's alarm calling behind us. There's a leopard here, there's a leopard here. That's all they're calling. I'm just turning very slightly. I can't see what he's seen. So again, it could be something like a bird or a squirrel. Also in a very good habitat for duiker, which would be a good meal for Hosana. Also find impala in here, and nyala, a baby kudu. He could very easily get a baby kudu. And then every now and then in scenarios like this, you get a scenario where there's possibly another leopard that's here. Do you remember a few weeks ago we had Tingana, and Tingana kept looking behind myself and Ferg, and there was Kachava. And remember that Hosana's also been looking around for whatever leopard's been here, been smelling after it. So I've got quite a few thickets. Oh, look. There he goes, there he moves. It's not quite a full stalk, but he is quite curious. It's going around that tree. Oh, it was a tree squirrel. He was looking after a tree squirrel. Let me just move the car a little bit. There's a tree squirrel in that knobthorn tree that's now busy huffing and puffing at him. You can just see his tail there. And I can see the job. Perfect. Vildy's also seen the tree squirrel. And now, Hosana's given up. It's interesting, this is the second time I've seen him do this, where he's really trying to go after these tree squirrels. And every time they manage to be in just too much of a thorn tree and he can't get in. But he might turn into one of those leopards that does amazingly well hunting tree squirrels through trees. There's wonderful documentary footage of that, the female leopard in Botswana. I think let's go around like this. It looks a little bit more open. That was very cool. Okay, now we're just trying to find our gaps through here. Let's go to Tristan while we're busy finding our little gaps and let him show you a bit of our own South African sunset. We are going to walk into the setting sun with Hosana hopefully down the road. He's magnified in this beautiful backlighting, this golden backlighting. It's not a bad way to spend the last little bit of time we have with each other. We have had an absolutely incredible game drive this afternoon, filled with lots of cheetah and djuma, so exciting, as well as leopard and all of the amazing predators that we're seeing up in the Masai Mara. I've thoroughly enjoyed being out and about with all of you, as I hope all of you have enjoyed being out and about with us. We are shortly going to lose sighting of our beautiful Prince of Djuma. He's going to head over into the thickets there. And we will see you all tomorrow morning. Thank you so much from myself and Vildi and Tristan and Davi and everyone in FC and the Mara.